Order fails before feeling. Consider this carefully before anything else. What you call an emotional reaction is never the beginning. It is the result. Long before anger, anxiety, or despair appears, something quieter has already gone wrong. Your inner order has shifted without your noticing. A judgment was made quickly. An assumption passed unexamined. Consent was given to an impression that did not deserve it. Events themselves arrive without instruction. They do not tell you how to feel. They do not contain disturbance inside them. The disturbance appears only after the mind interprets what has occurred and agrees with a particular meaning. This agreement happens so fast that it is usually mistaken for the emotion itself. But the emotion is only the signal. The decision came earlier. For this reason, comfort is not offered here. Blame is not assigned to circumstances, other people, or history. If disturbance were caused by events, you would be powerless. But it is not. It is caused by judgment. And judgment belongs to you. This is not a claim about perfection. You will still feel. Impressions will still arrive. What changes is whether disorder is allowed to settle unnoticed. Responsibility cannot be handed away without cost. Inner order must be maintained deliberately, or it will be replaced by reaction. Notice this carefully, the line between authority and exposure. Everything that follows depends on one clear distinction. There is a boundary that determines whether your effort produces order or frustration. Most disturbance persists because this boundary is crossed repeatedly without notice. You assume responsibility for things that were never yours, and neglect responsibility for the only things that are. What belongs to you is limited and precise. Your judgments are yours. Your intentions are yours. Your choices, refusals, and responses belong to you. This domain is small, but it is absolute. No one can enter it without your consent. What does not belong to you is vast. Events do not belong to you. The behavior of other people does not belong to you. Outcomes, timing, recognition, reputation, and results all sit outside your authority. They may affect you, but they do not answer to you. Confusion begins when these domains are blended. You attempt to manage outcomes through force of feeling. You try to control other people through explanation, pressure, or withdrawal. You expect the world to cooperate so that you can remain calm. Each of these efforts feels reasonable. Each one fails. Consider a simple example. You prepare carefully for a conversation. You choose your words with care. The other person reacts poorly. If you believe their reaction belongs to you, irritation follows immediately. But their response was never under your authority. What was yours was the preparation, the intention, and the manner of speech. When that boundary is crossed, effort turns into resentment. Or consider delay. You expect something to happen at a certain time. It does not. If you treat timing as something you command, agitation appears. But timing was never yours. What was yours was the use you made of the waiting. When this is forgotten, time itself becomes an enemy. This mistake is rarely conscious. It happens automatically. The mind extends itself outward, trying to secure calm by arranging the external world. When this fails, frustration is blamed on circumstances. But the source of disorder is closer. Discipline collapses when authority is misassigned. You strain against what cannot be moved and neglect what can. This produces exhaustion, not strength. It also creates the illusion that effort is pointless, when in fact it has simply been misdirected. The Stoic position is not passive. It is precise. It does not say that nothing matters. It says that only certain things are yours to manage. When you act within that boundary, effort becomes clean. When you step outside it, effort becomes noise. Notice how often inner tension appears alongside phrases like "they shouldn't," "this must change," or "this can't be happening." Each phrase quietly claims authority where none exists. The result is not control, but exposure. You become vulnerable to every shift in circumstance. Returning authority inward is not resignation. It is consolidation. Energy is no longer scattered across what cannot be governed. It is applied where it can actually operate, in judgment, in assent, in choice. This boundary does not remove difficulty. Life remains unpredictable. Other people remain inconsistent. Outcomes remain uncertain. What changes is where disorder is allowed to begin. When authority is kept where it belongs, inner order becomes possible. When it is surrendered to events, reaction takes over. The boundary is clear. The mechanism is not yet, the moment consent is given. Now we look at what actually creates disturbance. Between an event and an emotional reaction, there is a sequence that is usually overlooked. Something happens. An impression appears. The mind then makes a judgment about what that impression means. Finally, assent is given. Only after this does disturbance arise. Impressions are automatic. They arrive without invitation. A sharp tone is heard. A delay is noticed. A message is read and interpreted as dismissive. None of this requires choice. The mind receives impressions the way the body receives weather. There is no discipline at this stage because there is no control. The error begins when impressions are treated as verdicts rather than raw data. The mind moves quickly from "this happened" to "this is bad," "this is unfair," or "this means something about me." That movement feels seamless. It feels like a single experience. But it is not. Assent is the point where the mind agrees with the judgment it has just formed. This agreement is often silent. There is no announcement. The body reacts as if a decision has already been made. Tension rises. Emotion follows. And because the agreement happened quickly, the reaction feels inevitable. But assent is optional. This is not a claim that you can prevent impressions or sensations. It is a claim that you can refuse to confirm them as true or important without examination. The pause may be brief. It may last only a moment. But it exists. Consider criticism. Someone speaks in a way you perceive as dismissive. The impression is immediate. The body tightens. A thought appears, "I am being disrespected." If assent is given to that thought, irritation follows. Words sharpen. Tone changes. The situation escalates. But the impression itself did not require this response. It only required acknowledgement. Or consider delay again. You are waiting for a reply. Time passes. An impression forms, "I am being ignored." If that judgment is approved without scrutiny, anxiety or resentment appears. But delay alone does not contain insult. The meaning was supplied by the mind. This distinction is precise. Feeling a sensation is not the same as agreeing with a story about it. A tightening in the chest is not yet anger. A sinking feeling is not yet despair. These are signals, not commands. Most people attempt to control emotion after assent has already been given. They argue with themselves. They suppress expression. They distract. This fails because the decision has already been made upstream. Discipline applied too late looks like force. Stoic practice moves earlier. It intervenes at the point of agreement. The question is not "how do I stop feeling this?" The question is "what did I just agree with?" That question restores authority immediately. It shifts attention from the external trigger to the internal act of judgment. This does not require elaborate analysis. Often a single clarification is enough. This is unpleasant, not harmful. This is inconvenient, not catastrophic. This is someone else's behavior, not my character. These are not affirmations. They are corrections. Assent is where freedom resides because it is where choice remains intact. You cannot choose which impressions arrive. You can choose which ones are endorsed. When this is forgotten, the mind behaves as if it has no options. Training this distinction does not eliminate emotion. It prevents unnecessary disorder. Emotion still appears, but it does not seize command. It is observed rather than obeyed. This is why inner order is lost before emotion appears. By the time emotion is noticed, the agreement has already been made. To regain order, attention must move backward to the moment of consent. Understanding this mechanism is not enough. It must be trained, training attention instead of suppression. This is where most people misunderstand discipline. Discipline is commonly treated as force. You are told to endure, to push through, to override what you feel by sheer insistence. This creates a familiar cycle. Pressure builds. Resistance grows. Eventually something breaks, and the effort is abandoned. The conclusion is drawn that discipline is unnatural or unsustainable. This mistake comes from applying discipline at the wrong level. Stoic discipline is not punishment imposed on the mind. It is training directed at attention. It works earlier than emotion and lighter than force. It does not demand that impressions stop arriving. It demands that judgment become deliberate. Force reacts to failure. Training anticipates it. When you try to suppress emotion after it has already taken command, you are late. The judgment has been approved. The body has mobilized. At that point, effort feels heavy because it is fighting a decision already made. This is why willpower appears unreliable. It is being asked to reverse what has already been confirmed. Training works differently. It prepares the mind before pressure appears. It familiarizes attention with the pause before assent. Over time, this pause becomes accessible even under strain. Consider how physical training works. You do not wait until exhaustion to learn form. You practice movements when conditions are controlled. Repetition builds familiarity. Familiarity builds reliability. The same principle applies here. Discipline is repetition of correct attention, not intensity of effort. You practice noticing impressions without reacting. You practice labeling what is happening accurately. You practice separating sensation from judgment. None of this requires emotional struggle. It requires consistency. This is why Stoic training is quiet. It does not announce itself. It does not rely on dramatic resolve. It works through small, repeated acts of clarification. Each time you notice an impression and delay agreement, attention is strengthened. The goal is not to eliminate emotion. That would be neither possible nor desirable. Emotion is part of the body's signaling system. The goal is to prevent emotion from masquerading as judgment. When emotion is mistaken for truth, disorder follows. Training teaches you to feel without immediately obeying. This distinction matters. A disciplined mind still experiences anger, disappointment, and fear. What changes is the response time. Emotion is noticed as information rather than instruction. The mind remains available to choose. Many people wait for motivation to train. This guarantees inconsistency. Motivation is itself an impression. It rises and falls. Training does not depend on how you feel. It depends on whether you return attention to the same point again and again. Short practices repeated daily are more effective than dramatic efforts made rarely. A single moment of pause practiced consistently reshapes habit. Over time, the mind begins to expect this pause. Assent slows naturally. This is also why Stoic discipline does not require isolation or special conditions. It is practiced in ordinary life. In conversations. In delays. In irritation. These moments provide the exact material needed for training. Force demands results. Training accepts gradual change. When discipline is treated as endurance, failure feels personal. When discipline is treated as training, failure becomes information. You notice where attention slipped. You return it. No drama is required. This approach also prevents pride. Progress is measured in clarity, not performance. There is no finish line. Maintenance replaces achievement. The work remains ongoing because judgment remains active. Inner order is preserved not by intensity, but by precision. Each time you choose to withhold assent until judgment is clear, you reinforce the habit of sovereignty. Each time you fail and notice it without self-attack, the habit still strengthens. This only works when applied. Order is rehearsed in small situations. This practice is proven in ordinary moments. Discipline does not announce itself in extremes. It reveals itself in how you handle what seems minor. Small inconveniences, brief delays, casual remarks, and routine frustrations are where inner order is either maintained or quietly lost. These moments are not distractions from practice. They are the practice. There are 3 simple disciplines that give structure to daily training. None of them require withdrawal from life. None of them depend on mood. The first is anticipating impressions without anxiety. Each day will contain friction. People will misunderstand. Plans will shift. Time will be wasted. Expecting this accurately prevents surprise without creating tension. You are not predicting disaster. You are removing the fantasy that the day should cooperate. When inconvenience appears, the mind often reacts as if something abnormal has occurred. This reaction amplifies disorder. But when you expect interruptions as part of the design, impressions lose their shock. They arrive as anticipated material, not as personal offenses. Expectation here is not emotional rehearsal. You are not imagining scenarios. You are reminding yourself of structure. Events are not under your command. This clarification steadies attention before pressure appears. The second practice is pausing before assent. The pause does not need to be dramatic. One breath is enough. A single moment of delay creates space between impression and agreement. In that space, judgment can be checked. When irritation appears, notice it as a signal. Do not argue with it. Do not indulge it. Ask only one question: what am I about to agree with? This redirects attention from reaction to evaluation. Often the correction is minimal. You are not rewriting the situation. You are naming it accurately. This is inconvenient. This is unexpected. This is unpleasant. Accuracy weakens exaggerated judgments without suppression. This pause is the hinge of discipline. Without it, training cannot operate. With it, choice remains available even under strain. The third practice is evening review without guilt or praise. At the end of the day, briefly revisit moments where attention slipped or held. The purpose is not self-judgment. It is calibration. You are observing patterns, not assigning worth. When failure is met with guilt, another unexamined judgment has been added. Guilt claims that error means something about who you are. That claim is false and unhelpful. Error only indicates where training is incomplete. Likewise, praise is unnecessary. Satisfaction in progress easily turns into attachment. The aim is steadiness, not evaluation. A simple review asks, where did I assent too quickly? Where did I pause successfully? No explanation is required. Recognition is enough. Attention learns through acknowledgement. These practices work together. Anticipation reduces shock. The pause preserves choice. Review consolidates learning. None of them require emotional effort. They require consistency. What matters most is that these practices are applied when stakes feel low. Waiting for major challenges ensures failure. Training must occur when attention is still available. This is how capacity is built. Ordinary moments are generous teachers. They arrive frequently. They offer repetition without drama. When they are ignored, discipline remains theoretical. When they are used, discipline becomes embodied. This approach also removes impatience. Progress is measured in fewer unnecessary agreements, not in constant calm. Disorder will still occur. The difference is that it will be noticed sooner and released faster. Over time, a shift occurs. Impressions feel less urgent. Judgment slows naturally. Inner order requires less effort because it is no longer rebuilt from collapse each time. Consistency produces a different result. What remains under your command? Now we can speak precisely about freedom. Freedom is often imagined as relief. Fewer obstacles. More cooperation. A life that moves smoothly. This expectation quietly ties freedom to conditions. When conditions change, freedom disappears. That is not freedom. That is dependence. Stoic freedom is different. It is not granted by circumstances and cannot be revoked by them. It rests on a single fact: authority over judgment remains intact regardless of what occurs. When this authority is exercised consistently, inner order becomes stable. Life does not become easier when this freedom is practiced. Delays still happen. People still disappoint. Bodies still tire. Loss still arrives. What changes is not the surface of experience, but its command structure. Authority returns inward. This distinction matters. Comfort depends on arrangement. Freedom depends on alignment. A comfortable life requires cooperation from the world. A free mind does not. It requires only that judgment remain accurate and assent remain deliberate. Nothing outside you must change for this to begin. When disturbance appears, it no longer signals failure. It signals a lapse in attention. That lapse can be corrected immediately. There is no need to fix the situation first. Order is restored by reclaiming judgment, not by reorganizing events. This is why freedom must be maintained rather than achieved. It is not a milestone. It is a posture. Each impression presents a new opportunity to either preserve authority or surrender it. The work does not end because judgment does not rest. Many people seek freedom by avoiding difficulty. This narrows life and increases fragility. Stoic freedom allows full participation without dependence. You engage fully while remaining internally sovereign. This also clarifies responsibility. When freedom is understood as inner command, blame loses its appeal. Complaints about circumstances are revealed as distractions. Attention returns to the only place where action is possible. You are not responsible for what happens. You are responsible for how you judge what happens. This responsibility cannot be delegated. It cannot be postponed. It cannot be softened without consequence. There is a quiet confidence that develops here. Not confidence in outcomes, but confidence in capacity. You trust your ability to meet impressions without surrendering order. This trust reduces urgency. Reaction slows. Freedom, in this sense, is not dramatic. It is steady. It is felt most clearly when provocation fails to escalate, when disappointment does not harden into resentment, when uncertainty does not demand immediate resolution. Nothing external announces this freedom. There is no visible marker. But internally, something decisive has shifted. You are no longer compelled to agree simply because an impression arrived. This freedom can be interrupted, but it cannot be taken. Each time judgment is reclaimed, it returns intact. No past failure diminishes present authority. The mind begins again exactly where it stands. This is why Stoic freedom endures. It does not depend on success. It depends on vigilance. Nothing more needs to be added, the responsibility that remains. Nothing here requires escalation. What has been described is not a technique for feeling better. It is a clarification of where responsibility has always been. Inner order is not restored by managing emotion, correcting others, or arranging circumstances. It is restored by returning authority to judgment and keeping it there. Disturbance does not mean you have failed. It means attention slipped. That is all. The correction is immediate and quiet. You notice the agreement that was made too quickly. You withdraw it. You begin again. No explanation is required. This work cannot be delegated. No one can assent on your behalf. No system, habit, or environment can replace vigilance. Tools can support attention, but they cannot choose. The final responsibility remains yours, and each moment an impression appears. Imperfection does not disqualify you from this practice. It defines the terrain. You will agree too quickly again. You will react. You will notice late. None of this removes authority. Judgment is always available where you are, not where you think you should be. This is why the work is simple and demanding at the same time. There is nothing new to acquire. There is nothing external to wait for. There is only the repeated act of returning judgment to its proper place. When inner order is maintained, emotion loses its tyranny without being denied. Life continues with its uncertainty intact. What changes is that disturbance no longer dictates direction. Return to what is yours,